I'd like to call the meeting to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody here to our June regular board meeting. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Lawton.
Here.
Luddington.
Here.
Patrick.
Here.
Bruner.
Yes. Here.
Ellis.
There.
Farnham.
Here.
Voigt.
Here. First item of business is to approve the May 12th regular board meeting minutes. You've all had it for a few days. Is there any questions, corrections? If not, a motion to approve. Andy moves. Phil seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Claims against the county. You've had those for several days. Any questions or clarifications needed? Hearing none, a motion to approve. Dan moves. Russ seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. County board claims, or county board member claims. Any questions or clarifications needed there? Motion to approve. Russ moves. Andy seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All carry. Next, we come to the portion of the meeting for public comment. We ask that you identify yourself. It's not necessary for us to be told where you're from unless you want to. We ask that you follow procedures and limit your comments to 5 minutes. The floor is open. We have a rostrum up there. And does anybody have any comments this morning? You look familiar.
Yeah, Jack Wyatt from Christmas. I just want to voice my opposition to the wind turbines. I don't see as the county needs them anywhere. They're, from my understanding, they're very high maintenance, short lifespan. When you're done, you got a huge concrete pad in the ground, screws up a bunch of farm ground. And also the components that make it up are hard to get rid of. I just don't see if we need them. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Anybody else, please?
Good morning, my name is David Loomis, and I'm here to talk in favor of the wind ordinance. I was retained by Orsted to look at the economic impacts that would come to the county as a result of their wind project, should that get built. Just a little background, I'm a professor of economics at Illinois State University. I've been studying renewable energy both as an academic and a practitioner for a number of years, helped create a renewable energy major at Illinois State University, and been studying projects like this for a long time. In fact, we did a study looking at property tax revenues of all the wind farms across the state. And there's a standard formula for taxing per megawatt in Illinois. So it's the assessed value is established by state law. The tax rates are here. Estimates for a 250 megawatt wind project would bring over $50 million in property taxes in total. Most of that going to the schools, so $29.3 million to school districts over the life of the project, $7.3 million to the county. In terms of economic development aspects, there's quite a number of jobs that will be created during the construction. My estimates are 393 full-time equivalent jobs to construct it. Now, those are one-time during the time of construction, but there'll be another 19 new long-term jobs for the life of the project. Typically, there's a decommissioning plan so that there won't be concern about disposal. Most of the wind farms in decommissioning plans would call for quite a bit of salvage value from the steel, copper, wiring, et cetera, for dismantling. So I don't see that as a choice. Other counties, including my home county of McLean County, we have 4 wind farms and have had good experience with those there. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Loomis. Anybody else, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Francesca Martella, and I am a project developer with Orsted, and I just wanted to share some facts about wind energy with the county board members as well as everyone else. Illinois is an established leader when it comes to wind energy. In 2019, it ranked 6th in the nation in terms of utility scale installed wind capacity. And so it has been a leader for quite some time, which means that the earliest projects are now close to 20 years old. And what this means is that Illinois has a robust history dealing with wind development, and counties have found ways to allow wind development in without jeopardizing the safety or the livelihood of its residents. And we can look at these past experiences and projects, as well as all the literature that's been produced on the matter, and we can assess the worries, and we can ultimately conclude that they're not grounded in the evidence and the facts that have been brought to surface. And I just want to point out a couple of studies that have been done on wind development in general. So there's a strong body of research that shows the overwhelming majority of the people living in near wind projects have had a positive experience around it, whether that's due to the increased local economic activity or the environmental benefits. And there's one study in particular that I wanted to reference, and it's a survey from the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, and it surveyed 1,700 people, and it found that among those living within half a mile of a wind turbine, there were twice as many people who had a positive view than there were of people who had a negative one. So it really goes to show that the overwhelming experience is a positive one. And just another thing that I wanted to touch upon is that other studies have looked into whether or not there are any health impacts associated to these wind development, and these studies have consistently proven that there's no negative physical impacts linked to these wind development. Actually, wind power has some of the lowest environmental impact because it emits no air pollution, does not contaminate water, and actually Orsted as a company is looking to be a good steward of the earth, and we always have a decommissioning plan and looking to recycle the wind blades, which are the only part of the wind structure that would need recycling. Everything else has found a way to be repurposed or reused. Also happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Who funded your study? The study that you referenced?
So it's the Lawrence Berkeley Lab, and it's not our study. It's was performed by University of Berkeley.
Who funded it?
I would have to look into that.
Department of Energy, U.S. Department of Energy funded the labs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My name is Lucas Busick. another project developer at Orsted. Regarding this ordinance, I don't think the question should be so much, whether to allow or not allow development via the ordinance, but rather to balance the rights of and protection to your citizens while still allowing for development via a responsible ordinance. Any project developer that would cite a wind project in Edgar County would still need to, obtain voluntary lease agreements and discretionary permits from this board and probably other entities, the planning commission. But, the reality is a 3,250-foot setback closes the door for any such development and economic stimulus. A 2,000-foot setback is workable.
Thank you, Lucas.
Newton Taylor, Crispin, Illinois, lifelong resident in Edgar County, family farms. We intend to keep our farms going, good and healthy. That's what we're all here about. Many of us, that's our livelihood. And this stuff right here would ruin that.
Amen.
For my son, my mom and my dad are both sitting right here. And there's nothing like farming with your family. And I intend to keep that going for my family, my son who wants to, I hope one day can farm with us. But these right here will ruin that for all of us. I'm just adding to the petitions for 3,250 feet.
Thank you, Devin. Well, let's just get to, oh, I'm sorry.
Name's Kirk Allen. Brief history on my involvement from a wind standpoint. I'm not opposed to wind energy. I'm opposed to the placement of it in relation to both human and wildlife habitat, amongst many other things. My negativity started from when I was told I have to sign a non-disclosure before I get to read a copy and keep a copy of a contract. I wasn't willing to sign that. Now that company is long gone, like many of them are. They come and go, they sell the project to somebody else. They were out of Texas. But that was my first red flag. My second one, which was many red flags, I believe is captured on video in Vermilion County at a Vermilion County board meeting. And it was much like what I see here, but what I heard was firsthand testimony, not paid research, firsthand testimony from landowners that had been physically harmed from sleep deprivation and many other things. And it wasn't just one or two. And it was some people that even actually had initially worked with these wind farms. These people were not shills sitting in a room to speak on behalf of something or against something. These were live human beings that were impacted so negatively. When I walked out of there, my heart was tore for those people because it was evident the damage had been done. We heard from some of those same people in Douglas County just Monday. That project hasn't been up there a year. I'm 38 miles away from it, and I see the lights from my house every day. There is repercussions, there are negativities. I know they don't like talking about them. You have a wind ordinance. Iroquois County, I would call the gold standard, ties it to rotor diameters. That's what we need to have in this county, and I appreciate you've got 3250, but by having it tied to rotor diameter, that ruling, that continues to grow as these monstrosities grow. You don't have to keep coming back and readdressing setback issues. From the wildlife standpoint, just in the last 6 months, the things I've seen, even now reading reports that in Africa they're installing them for the purpose of keeping elephants away from communities. Why? Because of the noise. I've got friends that I hunt with in South Dakota. They don't have any more deer anywhere around those wind farms. It's gone. It's gone. The deer don't like it. The badgers don't like it. The prairie chickens don't like it. Not to mention all of the other birds that are killed out on the West Coast. Indiana brown bat, we have that here, it's a protected species. There's a lot of other things they don't like to tell you. But I beg of you, do not cave to the strong-arm tactics and the misrepresentations and half-truths that I've come to witness firsthand from this gentleman, both in Ford County, I believe was the last place I heard it, and it's not bearing out to be reality. Says who with what proof, and then follow the money trail. And I appreciate your question, Ms. Ellis. Who funded the study? The Department of Energy funded a study on smart meters. And in that study, we uncovered in emails, the Department of Energy, through grant money, paid shills to sit in a public meeting, and it was a 2-to-1 in that Naperville public meeting. And you speak for it, they had 2 to speak against what you just said. Or if you were against smart meters, they had people in there paid by the government. We own this county, it's the taxpayers, it's not these outside entities, and I beg you do what's right in the best interest of all these people.
Thank you, Kirk.
I got a couple of questions for him.
There- it's only a comment section unless
Okay.
the board wants to allow it, okay?
That's fine.
It's not a,
You'd asked earlier if you had any questions for him, so I just.
well, I mean, guys, what,
I don't have a problem with it, I wanna.
okay, let's go, Jack.
Okay. You say decommission, who's gonna do that? Are you guys? Because the reason I say that, I'm a retired pipe fitter and farmer. I've been around contractors for over 30 years. You'll hit some that are true to their word. Most of them, they'll promise you the moon. When the job's done, they're gone. I've seen it happen too many times. And this, the decommission part, your company will be dissolved, sold off, whatever. That's the end gate of it. The landowners and everybody else, or the state taxpayers, are stuck getting rid of these daggone things. You said the blades. I saw an article, they were talking about they hauled them out to Wyoming to a landfill. Wyoming shut them off. They said, these things aren't going to dispose, they're not going to dissolve. We're stuck with them, we don't want any more of them. So, yeah, maybe part of it you can recycle, but there's a heck of a lot of it there you can't. You're stuck with, and somebody's gonna have to pay for it. I'm tired of the taxpayers, myself, everybody in here getting stuck with the bill.
Thanks, Jack.
I'm Kyle McKee. I am part of the next generation coming back to the farm in the area. Much of what Devin said he hopes his son is going to be a part of, the generation after me coming back. Being that generation, the farm we have today is the last place that I want to look up and see wind turbines on. I promise you the way of life will not be hunky-dory like your studies have shown. Talked to some of the guys from Douglas County, and all the funding that you say it brings back to the county, I'm interested why you drive through Douglas County and roads and barn lots are nicer than public roads from the county. Also the light noise, what you think you can block out will not be blocked out in your windows, your sleep disturbance, and the disturbance to your farming practices. The tile drainage will be destroyed. Much was mentioned in the meeting Monday. Once those guys are out and gone, your contractors, they're gone. You're stuck with new ponds to plant around, ducks to feed. It's just, I don't see benefit at all besides maybe keeping the deer out from eating the beans. But I'm strongly against it being the next generation coming back to the county.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're in the gap for us. I don't envy you your spot, because if you don't let this go through, it's gonna get nasty. Get a county ordinance, let all of us stand with you. I wrote a lease agreement for a project 9 years ago. I worked with Windustry, talked to them, they're neutral. I've dealt with their attorneys, I've dealt with my own attorneys. There is no right way to do a wrong thing, and there is nothing good about this. They tell you, oh, well, we won't deal with anything that's got brown bats. I had them at Tower, they don't care about the brown bats anymore. Bald eagles, oh, well, okay, we have bald eagles. Well, but do we have a nesting pair? There are people I will let you call. They'll say, well, it's just a bald eagle sighting. Where are they nesting? These people won't tell them where they're nesting because they think they're going to do something to them. That's the honest God truth. Golden plovers, American golden plovers are all over my pasture. Oh, well, we'll never come your way. They don't care about the golden plovers. All of a sudden, they don't matter. They're just not essential. Decommissioning, my agreement that we wrote, demanded it had to be in a bonded, escrowed account sealed in a local bank on interest. They're never going to give you that. Setback, they're never going to give you what Iroquois County gives you for rotor because these babies keep getting bigger. I made trips last year to the largest wind project in the nation. All of a sudden, they got to do it as the first one of a public utility. That's what they want to grant this mess down in Kansas. Talk to the Chibi boys. They got hard to work out there, and what they signed on for is not what they were demanded to do, and it ruined the drainage that was only 3 years old in a huge field owned by Wes Humphreys.
That's correct.
It's our way or the highway. Oh, just tile around that. Wes is a good person. He made what he thought was a sound green decision, and he regrets it. I've seen the man in tears. It has screwed up the entire drainage over there. It's hideous. And you think this is the big issue? This is not the big issue. This is part of a plan to take 30% of the best ground in the world out of production. Your president has said so in writing. Has promised it in writing. This is a way to take our ground. This is a way to get rid of they want to get rid of all municipal, township, and county entities of government. You can say I'm crazy, I don't care. I'll give you all the research. I'll give you the documentation. I'll give you what a good win list looks like. They will tell you can't talk to your neighbors. They'll make you sign off that if any of this ever goes to court or public discussion, you have to sign a thing that says you will testify in their favor. Or you don't get squat. If you won't sign on, you can't see a sign of the lease. 9 years ago, it was all open public meetings with PowerPoint presentations, all come. No more. Tax money, it's going to expire and you're not going to get a cent. No one in Douglas County's gotten a cent, and when one of my neighbors asked when they were finally going to see a check, they were like, you thought that was going to happen? They're just waiting for the incentives to run out. They're never going to pay them. Their roads are a disaster. Their drainage is a disaster. They all have to have blackout curtains. And let's say this fine gentleman here has a turban on here, and it messes up and blows out the tile in my field, but I wasn't included in the project. Guess who has to call somebody to fix all my tile, and who has to pay for it? I do. And if you complain, you get told, we got more money and lawyers than you do, go ahead. Those poor people have had threatening, harassing phone calls to the point where the elderly farmers were so nervous, they had to call the sheriff's department. I've had my farm threatened. I called the sheriff's department first, and then I called the FBI, not in Illinois, because I don't trust the state of Illinois anymore. I'm sorry to say that. I trust my county. That's as high as I go. Do I trust the FBI to do anything about it? No. And I'm horribly sad to say that. I feel so sorry for your position. I would not want to be sitting where you are sitting because you are good, fine people. But don't go it alone. Get it out in front of all of us so we can all stand with you to support you because you're standing in the gap for us and our land and our future generations. Please, please say no. Not a setback, just say no. Thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Nancy. Okay, the next agenda item is actually the wind farm ordinance. Oh, sorry.
My name's Rita Rogers, live at Metcalf in the current area. We own ground in the current area where Orsted is trying to come in. I would like to point out that the people that are here speaking on behalf of the wind energy are all retained and paid by Orsted. They are not members of Edgar County. This is not about green energy. If you guys watch those video clips, not clips, like 20-minute videos by Orsted that I sent you guys by email, they were very clear that Orsted was a fossil fuel company that made a business decision because it was no longer sustainable as a business to be in fossil fuels anymore because of government subsidies that were coming down. So very clear, this is a business decision. It is not about green energy, it's not about the environment. If we were worried about the environment, we would be doing other things other than putting huge steel and fiberglass structures in our fields. Okay, so the Orsted video. Who funds these studies? That's a great question. When you talk about the Department of Energy, the government is a big convoluted mess. I know everybody wants to get on with peer-reviewed studies with everything right now. Everything needs a peer-reviewed study, but at this point, with the funding and the mess of the government, anecdotal evidence is the best evidence you have. Hearing direct from people. At that last meeting, I talked about the electromagnetic field around the wind turbines. One of the people that was at the meeting came up to me afterwards and told me that when those turbines in Newman fired up, his pacemaker went into safety mode. I'm a cardiovascular ICU nurse. I understand that. The Medtronic representatives at the hospital said that the only way his pacemaker could have done that was by being next to a large electromagnetic field. That is not safe. He has something that tells him it's not safe because he has an implanted pacemaker. The rest of us do not. So we're just exposed to all of that. We're exposed to the noise. We're exposed to the sleep deprivation problems. You don't have to live next to it. We do. We do. I want to live in the country. I want to live where it is safe and healthy for my family. I do not want to be around this. And I don't have something in my body that's going to tell me that it's unsafe other than losing sleep. And if you look up sleep and chronic disease, there are multiple chronic disease conditions. All chronic disease conditions stem from something very simple missing in our body that God gave us, like nutrition, sleep, those very simple things. And so losing sleep is a very big deal. Paper in Iowa. There's a county in Iowa that, you can find it. The Madison County Board of Health in Iowa determined there is a potential for negative health effects associated with commercial wind turbines, and the current setbacks are inadequate to protect the public health. They recommend a 1.5 mile setback for participating residents for future wind projects. This person that wrote the article contacted the board to find out what they used to determine that. They got 90 studies back. And some of those said that there were no health impacts, but they were all the ones that these wind companies provide. All of the ones. And they're all funded in a way that is convoluted and you can't find out who's funding them, but it's by the wind project people themselves, likely. It says, as more wind turbines are located in populated areas, however, more people are experiencing health problems. The majority of the documents provided evidence that many people are negatively affected in close proximity to the turbines. This was evidenced by reviews by medical doctors who determined that the complaints were legitimate and not made up. There is some evidence that effects may be worse for people prone to motion sickness. Just so you know, there are other counties standing up to this, and we can be one of them too.
Thank you, Rita.
My time up.
I don't know, Kurt. It was close, but if you've got something.
I just have one quick, go ahead.
Morning.
I appreciate the board and the consideration that you're giving us to express our concerns. I'm Glenda Waller. I live in Edgar County, western Edgar County. We previously submitted approximately 189 signatures that oppose the wind farm. I'm adding another 17 today. That makes it over 200. As for the repercussions, I've spoke with several very large landowners and future potential land investors, and they've stated that they will not purchase a parcel of ground that has a wind turbine on it because they eventually feel that it will depreciate our farm ground rather than appreciate it. And right now, I know you're promising to line our coffers now, and there's incentive for the wind farms, but we feel it absolutely destroys prime Drummer Flanagan soil, and the enormous amount of tiling that's gone on, the large 15-inch tiles, I want to say your pattern tile, and but I just mainly want to make those statements. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yes, Kurt?
Just, I want to clarify one thing that was said so that everybody understands. We can't say no wind farms. That opens up all kinds of legal challenges. You have to have an ordinance in place, and it has to be a balance. And that's where this comes in. There has to be a balance on both sides of the aisle, otherwise it opens up potential litigation. If you don't have a wind ordinance, see, the next item on the agenda is your solar. If you don't have a wind ordinance, they can do whatever they want. They can go sign a lease with your neighbor and put up 5 towers, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it. So a wind ordinance is absolutely important to have, but you have to have a balance that protects the citizens.
See, we've had a wind ordinance here, if you don't mind,
Yes.
since '09.
Correct.
And until this year, or last year, it was 1,000-foot setback. And we all realized that that was big problems, along with a bunch of other things.
And to that point, Chairman, that's why I encourage the rotor diameter as the multiplier, because we wouldn't have ever had to come back to the table.
And just to add to that, a little later on, we're going to be forming a new committee, wind and solar. And one of the things they're going to look at is looking at issues like that, along with some other things that have been brought up over the last 3 days. And Lisa and Russ are on that, and they're going to continue to look at that and make modifications. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Can I just one thing?
Yeah.
Thank you. Joe Spencer up by Chrisman.
Hi,
We
Joe.
talked at the other meeting there. We're the farmers that farm around the ducks, or they're under towers currently in Douglas County.
You started that.
Yeah. One thing they don't tell you is the amazing amount of dead birds you also pick up around these towers. And then finally, because you've already heard all this, the one thing that really stands out and speaks volumes to me, none of these people are guaranteed or making any promises without being behind the shield of a corporate lawyer. To me, that says it all. If they can't personally guarantee what they're saying, what good is it? They're gonna make promises, they're gonna talk big. A year from now, when it's done, they'll be gone. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank everybody for your comments today. We appreciate it. Moving on with the agenda. We have nothing under 8, which is highway. We normally have resolutions, and we have nothing today. Number 9 is action on amending the wind energy conversion system ordinance. I got the board a copy of that, or Augie got a copy to the board fresh with taking out all the changes or supposed changes in the setback and the change, or it leaves the ordinance at 3250. So do we have are there any questions or of the board members? Any questions or comments at this point?
I think I have one comment.
Yes, sir.
About 4, 5, 8 weeks ago, whenever all this started snowballing, you know, I talked to a lot of people in Douglas County, never heard anything positive, and they had no reason to lie to me, just general conversation. And then I picked up, I mean, I knew actually nothing about them, but I picked up a lot of information from Lisa and everybody else. And it appears to me it comes down to one thing. Only thing the wind turbines can offer you is money. Is money more important than our quality of life? I've heard it nothing but all from all these folks. I mean, that's where all the windmills are. And their life, livelihood, whatever you want to call it, it comes down to what's more important, money or that. I think that's a real simple decision on my part.
Yes, please,
Yeah,
Dan.
I agree with Blood. Been on board 9 years. Anytime a resolution or something comes up, I do a lot of research. My number one concern is the people. Everything else is secondary. And if you don't want what we have in the 1,000 or 1,200, then I'm for 3,200. I just feel that whatever you want, that's what I feel you should get.
We're here to serve the county, period.
Do we have a motion to approve the
I'll make
amendment?
it.
Okay, we'll start off. Phil moves and Russ seconds. Further discussion, gentlemen and lady? Would you call the roll?
Yes, sir.
The complete roll.
Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Yes.
Ellis, Farnum,
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes. I did want to make a comment or two, and I hope it's appropriate. We talked about getting a hold of your legislators, not just our legislators, but all over the state on Monday. I would like to let you know that I got an email last night from the Illinois Association of Counties that bill is going to come up on the 15th. What is that, Tuesday? Tuesday or Wednesday? So that is going to come up. But when you were saying that, and I should have said something further, a lot of the legislators, and I was a lobbyist in the legislature, and they're told how to vote, okay? So you really need to find out who, we all do, not just you. But if you're gonna do any good, you can go ahead and send it to a bunch of reps and senators, but make sure you send it to the leadership, because that's who's calling the shots on a lot of this stuff. That's my advice, okay? Because just sending it to somebody you don't know, you know, up in Peoria, obviously is a help, but you need to find out who their boss is, and unfortunately, that's the way it works. So, Carl, did you have?
What's the general thing of the legislation that's coming up?
Well, they're talking about fixing setbacks, taking a lot of it away from zoning commissions within counties, and this ordinance is a type of zoning, okay?
So
And-
if this passes, then what we just passed will be.
Means nothing.
Right. So this doesn't stop here, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You need to make sure that you're aware that your efforts, and I think you said that, and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, on the western side of the county. Didn't you talk about, several people talked about getting a hold of senators and representatives, and that is a must, okay? You, Lisa?
Carrie, will you be able to add any information to the paper since you're primary mouthpiece as far as finding out who we should send information to?
Well, you can go on into the state of Illinois, the House and Senate, and it'll give you a list of who their addresses. I know, didn't the paper used to publish, or maybe it was the Commercial News, used to publish a full list of legislators from the area, but you can go in on internet and get that, and I'm sure that's fairly.
When we do the state page, we put Holbrook's and
Right, but I
Ryder's
mean,
address and all those.
but legislative leaders would be a good one to have. Yes, Nancy?
When you get on like Brad's site or Darren Bailey's site, they will also have links to where not only can you get a hold of your legislators, but you can get a witness slip. You can click on the bill, you can find out what the bill is.
You're absolutely
And their
right.
office will tell you, you can just call them up in case in their daily grind, they don't have it on there, but you can research it. You can say HR Bill 183 or whatever it is. You can get a witness slip, put in your information, you're for it or oppose it, and your comments.
Yeah, because they just had something they reported on that had like 37,000 witness slips.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they didn't listen on that issue, but maybe they will, okay? I didn't mean to get far afield. I'm sure it's on the internet. I'm gonna switch around to number 12, then we'll come back to the couple of others in case some of you folks gotta go to work or got stuff to do on the farm. Number 12 is to appoint Lisa Ellis, Russ Lawton, and Derek Lorenzen to the Wind and Solar Energy Committee. I've talked to all of them. All of them are more than anxious to serve. So is there a motion to approve those appointments? Carl moves, Dan seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Number 13 is a moratorium for all solar energy farms within the county's jurisdiction of unincorporated areas in Edgar County until December 8th, 2021. We're doing that because there's a lot more activity building and we have nothing in place at this point. So that is something that we need to address. Discussion? Motion? Carl moves, Andy seconds. Any further discussion? All of you folks that are in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That does carry also. Those are the related issues to wind energy and so forth, and I wanted to make sure we did them in front of you so you knew that they took place. So, we'll move on with our agenda. You're welcome to stay if you've got a boogie, but we're gonna go on with our business meeting now. And again, thank you all very much for being here. Okay, we'll go back to 10, action on liquor license application from Cashman Hammond, subject to opinion of state's attorney. The clerk and I have been talking about this issue. I don't know whether we have heard back from the state's attorney. So we have not heard back from the state's attorney on jurisdiction, so motion to table. Okay, Phil moves, Dan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Next item is action on bid from Jeremy Neal for special service area number 2 ambulance service. That is on the table. Do we have anything to report yet?
No, I've not heard back from the state's attorney.
So we'll just leave it on the table unless somebody wants to bring it off. Okay?
What are we're waiting on the state's attorney for?
Well,
He's just reviewing the contract.
yeah, whether it meets, so we can accept the bid.
Okay.
We have, Jeremy has let me know that his attorney and the current ambulance service attorney are met and things have worked out, right?
They're putting together a contract and.
Well, but we need to know, have they gotten a hold of the state's attorney? I assume they have, to let them know. I mean, we've got to reward the bid.
That they were supposed to let him know, but I'm having trouble getting information out of either one of them, so.
Okay, we can't do what we can't do, okay?
So I guess if it's gonna be a couple months before we get this all worked out, the Northern Edgar County is planning on continuing as they are now.
Correct.
Until it is all worked out.
Correct.
Basically. No, we don't want to drag on all summer.
No, I mean, and, you know, and they were hoping to get it done before the end of the month, but I don't know where it all sits and, you know.
Okay.
Okay, number 14, is that right? Yeah, 14. We need to approve the audit conducted by Whiffley LLC. You heard from him on Monday. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, a motion to approve the audit for 2000. Andy moves, Phil seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Next, we have a resolution to transfer $80,474.90 from the Federal Recovery Fund 858 to the general fund. And you'll notice that there's a description. Most of it is leftover reimbursement that we did not have the money to reimburse ourselves for from the PPA, or PPS. I forget which one it is. And we had like 270,000 and we ran out of money, and it's appropriate to go ahead and transfer that money back into the general fund out of the $1.666 million that we received in the emergency rescue money. Any questions about that of me or so forth? But it shows you, I think there's 2 pages of what's being transferred.
I was looking through this and it says rejected FEMA claim.
Yeah, the rejected FEMA claim, they said they were gonna reimburse some of the materials for ESDA and then didn't do it. Okay? Motion to approve? Andy? Russ? Seconds? And this is how we'll handle every one of these when we're transferring out. So we've got a written record, there's no question about what's going on in documentation. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Excuse me, need a roll call.
Oh, we need a roll call? I'm sorry, it's a resolution.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Lawton?
Yes.
Ludington?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Bruner?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Farnum?
Yes.
Thank you. It is approved. Next, we have Tom Tuttle arranged to ask 3 different companies to look at the main hangar doors that have been need to be replaced for a number of years. Only one responded with a bid of $26,967.93. That will upgrade and insulate those main hangar doors with all the electronics and controls. That would likewise be under resolution eventually when we go to pay that. That would be paid out of the rescue funds. Okay? So, any questions on that? Hearing none, motion to approve. Dan moves. Bill seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Next, we have the 2021 reapportionment plan. A lot of dates have changed on that, with current legislation having finally been signed by the governor. One of the things, for example, is that the primary won't be held in March of 22. It will be held in what, June? June of 22. Many of the, when you petition, get your petitions out, that's stretched out into January instead of the 1st of December. But at any rate, we're required, and Carl and myself and Augie were the committee on reapportionment. So do you want to describe what we're doing, Augie?
Well, in a simple version.
Yes.
The Constitution says that you have to reapportion by July 1st in the year following the census, the decennial census. And there's been a lot of talk. I haven't seen anything signed yet, and I would stand corrected if it already has been. But I know that, did they pass that law?
Governor signed it, I think Friday.
So, okay, so at the time of putting the agenda together and the minutes and allowing for Open Meetings Act to publish the agenda, I went with the current information at the time. And at the time, the law was still by July 1st, that we need to have a reapportionment plan. So in the resolution, in essence, it leaves everything the same. That there's going to be 7 county board districts, and it'll be 1 member elected from each district. There will be terms of 2-year, 2-4-4, 2-year, 4-year, 4-year, and then 4-4-2.
And we can talk about that.
And we can talk about that. What we also mentioned that the compensation would be determined according to the law that says in the year before the election, you have to set the salaries at least 6 months prior to the election, which normally we do that in April. So we're going to wait and work on that piece of it. Everything is pretty much the same. We do not have we use the actual 2010 census numbers because we don't have the 2020 numbers. There are surveys out there conducted by the American, was it the Community Service organization, and they supposedly survey population on a regular basis. And again, at the time that this was drawn up, that was only talked about. And so I thought we ought to err on the side of caution and do what the law said to do. But we also have a clause in here that says that this can all be amended at a future date, once we know for sure the details of the law.
And have the census available.
And have the census numbers available, so we have time. But this helps us to comply with the law. And if we need to change it, we can change it. We have until the end of the year to do that.
It's pretty much, we're just making sure our housekeeping is caught up. The one thing we talked about was the 244 or the 442. I mean, it is possible we could go with 424 as a third option, but I don't know what you think about that. Yes, Dan?
We just split up the district one time based on census. The census come out and we gotta do that again. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I guess it's possible. We're projecting a loss of like, what, almost 200 people in the county though?
Well, I thought it was closer to 600, but I don't know that, Jeff.
Yeah.
But
regardless,
yeah.
we can take a look, you guys, we can all discuss it. One of the things we looked at is doing the drawing earlier. There's nothing says we can't, and that way you'll know what everybody's drawing or what everybody's going after. Okay? And candidates too, because we're all up for re-election. Okay? Yes, Carl?
Question, maybe you don't know the answer. You said that the governor has signed this legislation to change the election to June, primary to June.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just this year and then it reverts back to?
Yes, it's only because of
right.
The, actually it has more to do with the national election. They don't know how to do the House of Representatives. That's the big question. They've already set up all of the reapportionment and the districts for the states, for the Senate and the reps. So the main thing was the House of Representatives.
I was just concerned that it wasn't going to be permanent. I wanted to go revert
No,
back
I understand it was, I haven't read it totally and I'm not an attorney, but I understood that it was just for that.
Okay, good.
So do we want to go ahead and approve this? And then,
did you make that change on the?
I did. In the resolution that you have in front of you, the plan, there was a typo under district number 4, and that's been changed. Paris 5 doesn't belong in there. It should be Paris 14. And so, yes, I have that right here.
okay. Motion to approve the resolution, please. Carl moves. Andy seconds. Any further discussion, folks? Augie?
Lawton?
Yes.
Ludington?
Yes.
Patrick? Yes. Bruner?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Farnham?
Yes.
It is approved. Okay, approved memorandum of understanding on residency for agreement between the FOP Labor Counselor that represents jailers and dispatchers and the County of Edgar County Sheriff for 12/1/20 through 11/30/23. Basically what it does is allows for those two groups within that bargaining unit eligibility to be hired out of close-in Indiana counties, making the pool of available job seekers to be expanded, and maybe we maintain our quality. Carl, did you have anything you wanted to say about that?
Not too many years ago, it was only Edgar County.
Right.
And then we changed it to surrounding counties in Illinois. And now we've increased it to surrounding counties in Indiana.
Any questions, guys? Motion to approve resolution. Russ, Carl, seconds. Mr. Clerk?
Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
Thank you, it is approved. We'll make sure that that gets over to the treasurer's office
Yes.
and after everything gets signed. Accept commitment from the city of Paris-owned lots for future county development with the understanding the lots will be returned upon request if not used in that development. Simply something the mayor asked for, just to acknowledge that they were deeding over the lots where the Chinese restaurant used to be, right over here, so. Any questions about that?
Does that also include the stores that go on down?
No,
Okay,
no,
just the
it's
lots.
just the lots.
Okay, good.
Just those
I just
buildings.
wondered.
There's like 5 or 6 lots, believe it or not.
No, it doesn't look like it.
I know, it doesn't.
Have a small area. Okay, I just wondered.
Motion,
So moved.
Dan? Andy? Further discussion? Why don't you call the roll on that, just to make sure, please?
Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick, Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
Does carry, thank you, folks. 2020 is resolution to reappoint Nicholas Barrett, trustee, Metcalf Fire Protection District. Motion? Russ? Second, please? Lisa?
Sure.
What? Well, you raised your hand, I wasn't volunteering you. Okay. Can you, was it Carl's hand? Well, that's an insult. I didn't mean to imply that your hand looked like Carl's.
Lisa doesn't have hair like Carl.
Would you call the roll before I get into further trouble?
Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
Now we need a resolution approved for the oath and bond for Nicholas Barrett, trustee for the Metcalf Fire Protection District. Motion, please. Dan moves, Phil seconds. Stayed out of trouble that time. Whenever you can call the roll.
Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
Next, we have the sheriff's and the county clerk's semi-annual report. The sheriff's in your packet that you got last week or Monday morning, and Augie's was presented to you in documents today. So, Augie, did you want to say anything about yours?
Not in particular, everything looks fairly steady.
Just thought I'd ask.
Unless there's questions.
Any questions? Can I have a motion to accept those two semi-annual reports, please? Russ moves. Andy seconds. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Both reports are accepted.
Okay.
Okay? Next, we have the renewal of a special events liquor license for Robert Morgan, doing business as Castle Finn Vineyard and Winery. Andy, I'm not gonna, you just can't make any motions or anything. We're not really gonna discuss it. Is there a motion to approve those? Yes, Carl moves and Russ seconds. So we need the resolution, roll call, yes.
Lawton,
Yes.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick,
No comment.
No,
Okay.
no
I just want-
call.
I just wanted to call, so we had it on the record.
He-
Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Farnum.
Yes.
It is approved. Do we even have any yeah, we have, Augie, do you have a department? Oh, that's the regular items. Now we have department head and elected officials report. Augie?
Well, since the last time we had a board meeting, we finished up our part of the real estate taxes with all the levies and the extensions. And so we've handed it over to Don, and I can't speak for him, but I know he's printing the tax bills as we speak.
I have a report for it.
Okay, so. Other than that, I don't have anything. Unless you have questions for me.
Angie?
I don't have anything outstanding to report. I'm watching House Bill 3443, which has to do with the Safety Act, which takes money away from the sheriff and the circuit clerk, so.
Yep.
But that's about it.
You'll keep us up to date on it.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, for Don, yes, Carl.
Ray, did you have it? I noticed you're here. Did you have anything?
Oh, yeah, Ray. I'm sorry, Ray.
I don't know the protocol, but I didn't know it was time.
Yeah.
The one thing I had was, walking around the grounds and stuff, looking at the memorial. And I don't know whose responsibility it is, upkeep, is it county? I don't know.
Yeah, Ray, Berlin Funkhauser was at our meeting on a Monday morning, and he's identifying what needs to be done, and he's doing no, that's fine. And maybe if you know Verlin, you might get a hold of him, and
Okay.
you two can maybe help each other out.
That was
Okay?
my question, because it needs, if there's monies available, so for something to be thrown at it, because just general upkeep, boxes, concrete,
Absolutely.
painting, landscaping, a little bit of everything.
Right.
And I mean, that's important.
Well, I would.
Without them people out there in those boxes, we're in trouble.
Right.
Well, I would give Verlin a call. It would be nice for you to work with him anyway. Okay?
Yeah, Verlin met with us Monday, and he said, you know, there's concrete issues and just the overall, and he's looking at getting prices on costs and talking about a fundraiser.
Awesome.
Do some type of fundraiser, because it's gonna be quite expensive to do.
Sure.
But it's,
Because when I went through there, I cleaned it up a little bit before they had the Memorial Day thing, and just looking at it, it needs to work.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up, though. That's excellent. Thank you. As far as Don's concerned, you might look at the cash flow, tell you how we're doing there. He is gonna send out tax bills by the 23rd of June, by the 23rd. If he can send them out the 19th, he will, or whatever, but he said they'll be out by the 23rd. I think the first payment is in August, the second payment is in October. So just so you're aware of how that sets. No penalties will be accrued or charged until the last payment. Okay, only on the last payment. So if you're late on the first payment, that's fine. I mean, we hope everybody pays, but we're trying to make sure that everybody's back together and halfway well before we start following actually it's at the discretion of the treasurer how that's charged. So he consulted us, and we've decided with him to forego penalties on the first payment. On there, you'll notice that the first column has the 800 numbers. You might notice all the way at the bottom, but not the total bottom, of 858, and that shows the federal recovery funds that we've gotten in. So that makes our cash flow a lot better. So, at any rate, and that's what you passed that resolution on. What? Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Health Department, is there money they got for COVID, does that come into our general fund or does it stay with?
Doesn't touch
Stays with
anything, all their funds are separate,
Okay, this one.
okay? The only thing we do is the treasurer pays their bills and
Okay.
maintains their accounts, okay? So Don didn't tell me anything else. Might get over there, he's back in his original office now.
You got a haircut yet?
No. Hey, I can't, you know, I can't, you wanna make a motion on
Hey,
suggesting?
can we do that?
No, I don't think so. Well, we could, but that might be a frivolous motion.
Just a jest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna recognize me more.
All right, now we move on to committee reports of the board. Dan?
Not much, I talked to Andrea over the weekend, and everything at the animal shelter is running fine, according to her, but sometimes they have a problem. Have you heard anything different? So it looks like everything's good out there. I do have a couple cats, if anyone needs one, so.
I did have a comment from somebody who stopped out there to donate a dog bed, that the pens outside looked very nice.
Ray's been doing a lot of work on the parade. Right. Thank you very
This
much.
person donates once in a while, and she had noticed the
Yeah.
difference.
Thank you very much.
Andy?
I guess I probably want to say Ray's made my job a lot easier.
I can tell.
When things are working, the fountain's working, and he just, I don't know, he just took that on, did it. So I just want to thank Ray for everything he's done.
Yes.
I hear nothing but good stuff about Ray every time we get together. That's a nice thing, isn't it?
Do you sleep better?
They got retired.
And we-
Vote him in the bonus maybe or something.
We also appreciate the rapport that you have with the HRC folks. That is really, really wonderful, because they're trying to do the best job they can,
Yeah.
and you've made that possible and a lot easier.
Yeah, they're doing a
Okay.
good job.
Just one more thing, the sheriff contacted me, and we went down and looked, the boiler was leaking at the jail.
Oh, at the jail?
At the jail. So, he shut it off, I'm waiting for Parish Refrigeration to come in and look. We don't want a new boiler, we wanna see if we can patch that one up for a while, but anyway, I don't know anything just other than it was leaking, I think leaking fairly substantial, according to the sheriff.
Was he gonna call Sycamore, or what were we gonna do? What have you found, Ray?
Yeah, I haven't been contacted about that
Okay.
issue at all, so.
Okay.
Well,
Well, we wanna make sure he contacts the right people, if you know what I mean.
I know, but I also don't wanna spend a fortune on it at this point in time.
Okay, well, no,
But
I
I think we'll
understand.
get an opinion first, and then if we need to go a little farther, we will.
All right.
Anyway, that's about all I got.
How about you, Phil? Russ? Carl?
I brought this up last meeting about the coroner getting that paid to the hospital, that getting taken care of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It was in the bills you approved.
I guess I missed that.
Did you read it?
Well, I read through it, but I missed it. I guess.
Carl, we did that the day you asked about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually paid, but it was approved today. It's under administrative, if you need to look, okay? And it was $6,000. Anything else, Carl?
The 21st is at the jail meeting.
Mm-hmm. Out at Crestwood?
Out of Crestwood.
Yes. Everybody will be contacted in the next few days.
Need to make sure I don't know whether they're planning on putting an ad or doing an article. Need to do something to let the public know.
That's all up to Coles County. We're supposed to do nothing. That's Coles County whole meeting and everything.
Well, hopefully they'll contact the paper.
I will mention that to our,
Yeah.
to the planner, okay?
So the public can come to the meeting.
Absolutely. Lisa?
708 board met out at HRC, and he made a comment that that was the first time they'd had all board members present, either in person or via Zoom. And they do actually, and of course, in our wildest dreams, it's happened since then, that they did actually have some serious interest in their old facility. And the special meeting, I can't remember what they called it, the room for folks in crisis continues to be very well used. It would be more used if they had the funding to fund it 100% of the time.
Where do we need to go now? We all went out to HRC. We took a tour of their new facility. Where do we need to go now as far as exploring how we might be able to help them? What, do you guys have any suggestion on what probably, should we get a committee of a couple of you together to start talking to them? What do you want to do? I think we all agreed that that would be an appropriate place to help, but how do we make that operational?
Because we didn't talk about it in any detail, nor did he mention our
Well, he said he-
conversation with him.
Right.
So.
I got a thing from him saying that, or an email saying, you know, we really appreciate your interest and so forth, and just let me know when and if you want to move forward with any of the help.
Well, one thing, you know, we might pick up some information hearing from the public and this committees for this jail thing. So
Okay.
we might wait till, see what we hear after that.
Oh, that's fine.
You know, there might be some different input on that, and then we can get someone together
Yeah.
and meet with them out there.
Right. And, you know, Lisa's already on the board, so she
Right.
would be a logical one
Right.
to be involved, and then whoever else would like to be involved, and then we can start talking to them. I just didn't want to be viewed as not doing anything.
Right.
But
Because,
I
you
think-
know, depending on what we hear at this committee meeting,
Right.
you know, as far as incorporating it, if we eventually have to build a new jail.
We could have a study session with them too.
Right.
You know, whatever you folks think might work and be, you know, so everybody understands what's going on. Anything else from you individual? Yes, sir.
Saw Mr. Barkley last weekend. He said there's something about a problem with the runway out at the
I'm
airport.
gonna get to that here in a minute,
Okay.
when it's my turn.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the airport, as you well know, and in fact, Lisa and I went on a tour out there. Russ, have you been out there at all?
It's been years. I
Okay,
need
well,
to-
I'll call you, come pick you up, or whatever, we'll meet, and then have Tom take you on a tour like Lisa did. We looked at the issue, we have a contract to grind and resurface the taxiway. And when they got out there and started grinding it, they loaded trucks with the grind, and they fell through the base of that taxiway in several places, and it is a mess. The engineers that we hire are in the process, well, they already did. They've got a design and a fix. Aeronautics has it and has not told us yet that it's approved and where the funds are gonna come from. Okay, so that's where we're at on that. One runway is shut down, the new crosswind runway, that's easy for me to say, is shut down, but the main one is open. So we need to get on that. Everybody agrees that we need, including aeronautics, but we need to get on it so that Open Roads can finish what they're doing out there. Just to give you an example, there's a machine that will take all of the material that's left, and they will mix additional material with it and churn it all up and lay it down as the base. I think that's where we're headed. And then we'll go with the 4 inches of asphalt on top of it. But, you know, everybody in DOT has to approve that first, so we'll see how that works out.
Well, drainage a part of it?
Yes, and they
Add some tile
Yes,
somehow?
yes. Yes, sir.
So that's part of what caused the problem?
Right, they would put, they would add cement actually to that mix too. Yeah, not concrete, but cement, powder, and that's supposedly. Did you have any comment about the airport you'd like to?
I appreciate the tour, and The doors that we just approved, they're much needed. And there are other doors out there that are definitely needing some work. Buildings need painted. It's very tidy. He does a nice job.
So, by the way, we're selling a lot more fuel, especially Jet A now. We've got a couple of customers in helicopters that are coming in and filling every so many days, and that's a good deal. We did wind up having a bid on the old tanks, and we had two bidders. Let's see, Effingham won the bid, and they are paying us $4,100 for our old tanks. Of course, they're double walled, but that'll go back into the funds for the airport, and we'll go from there. Okay?
All the hangars rented?
Yes, all of the hangars. In fact, we've had to move our stuff out of one hangar. So one hangar that we've not rented in years is even rented. So we've got 18 rented, I think, right now. So, which is a good deal. And there's activity out there, and like I say, since we're on the list now, when you pick up and file a flight plan from Memphis and you want to go through here, it says we've got a swipe system on our card reader, so you can just come in, and so instead of having to divert and having a longer trip, you can come to us. So it's made quite a difference.
Hopefully they can get that taxiway fixed before crop dusting.
I hope so. I mean, everybody wants to get it done. It's just the bureaucracy is not always the best to us. The Fund 100 status, there were some issues, and he didn't get it out today. It's got some errors in it, so I will have them available at the next study session in June. I'm sorry, or if you go in a day or two, you probably have them available. Okay. This thing on the budget. Okay. I really don't have a whole lot more. I mean, I could go into a bunch of stuff, but I think we're doing okay. The meeting on the 21st is important. We'll have a meeting that morning. I don't know who have we got anybody set up, or is Bellwether coming in that day, or what did we decide on?
Well, he just gave me the draft of the
Okay.
new policy. Just this morning it came.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, I
We'll
haven't
talk
scheduled
about
him yet, but we,
Well, we could see, because it may be that the department heads and elected officials should look at it well in advance of what we do, so they could present their recommendations to it also. We probably are gonna have to have a special meeting, or at least it's highly likely that we will, on the ambulance deal, so be prepared for that. We'll try to make it convenient and make sure that everybody has plenty of, or as much notice as we can give, okay? We'll also Augie's been trying to work with the state's attorney to get some of our issues answered, but the state's attorney, quite frankly, has been pretty busy, so, which is good. So, is there anything else to come before the meeting this morning? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn then. Yay! A second, please.
I gotta get my name with hers.
Okay, Phil. Sorry, Russ. Phil won. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you all for your time and dedication this last week or so.
I'm barely